what they don't tell you when you want to start out in any business or whatever you do, as you go, there's going to be that little word called distraction, things that kind of like veer your focus. Sometimes it's not full on. The word distraction can make it sound bad, but like sometimes it's like there's other things and other factors that come into your life, you know? I want to know, what are some of those things that affected you where you went, okay, I not that I learned a lesson here, but I could have done this differently. And what are the things that you really just want to avoid?
It's an interesting question for me because I like almost don't think like that. I think I kind of have that limit where I just am committed to not feeding my distractions, even when they kind of are right in my face. I try not to feed them at all, and I always just stay focused on what it is I'm trying to do. I don't get lured down this path and that path because I don't want to now have to face all these other obstacles that have nothing to do with where I'm trying to go. Right? And I think it's so easy, but I think that's one of the benefits of having had that pre-foresight of someone in my family being in this world, to kind of make those calculations of this is where it can go wrong. You see certain people fall apart because of certain distractions. You see that in the end, this is how their lives can fall apart because of it. You see that you realize the things that really matter. And you realize what it's going to take to be able to get to where you get to, and that you don't want to replicate the model of, okay, now I'm in a certain level of fame, and now I can just sit and fold my arms and that's it.
I want to touch on, we spoke about entrepreneurship a bit earlier on, right? And how you are an entrepreneur at heart, and the more of the things that you've done, I think it feels to me like you've kind of used everything that you do to unlock another stage of your career and what you want to do, you know?
Can I just mention one more thing?
Yeah.
Just with regard, I just want to quickly wrap up that distractions point, just regards with distractions. Sure. The things that you also get distracted by a lot of the time, you always have to remember, are they distracting me because they can possibly perceive, can improve people's perceptions of me? Am I doing am I falling into these distractions purely for other people or for myself or for how it will look? And if it's not something that will benefit you, then that always makes a decision very, very easy. And I think being able to distinguish that is where the key lies, into being able to remove distractions from you and help you make certain decisions. You know, going and doing a certain thing, if it's going to possibly damage your progress, and if it's going to be something that is more actually motivated by being there because everyone is there, and you know you're going to be bomboning, you know, more than actually doing something that is relevant to your growth, then you should, you know, that should be enough of a deciding factor for you to not do it.
I'm glad you mentioned earlier on that you're someone that's like quite enterprising. You know, like you've been involved in a couple of things. And the moment that we started pigeonholing you into this model, MC, public persona, you hit us with the entrepreneurial stuff. You know, was that also something where you're like, it's just a natural progression? Let's talk about Buns Out for a little bit.
Well, we can even talk pre-Buns Out. So one of the things that lots of people don't know, as I said, entrepreneurial streak has always been there. I drew up my first contract when I was 7 years old, and you know, you can call it a contract because I wrote down on a piece of paper so just very quick story. My parents, I always liked, as a kid, I always liked figuring out ways to make money, because whenever I wanted anything, the sweetie or whatever it might be, the icy or other people, whatever it might be, you know, they always said, I want to tell it. So we decide whether or not you can have it. So I always wanted to figure out ways of making money. And I always kind of tell the story that when I was 7, I wrote my first contract once I knew what a contract was. And I just wrote on a piece of paper, you know, the fact that I will do this and this and this and this. So so I was washing the car, doing the dishes, helping my mom cook, bringing the food to them, making sure that my work was always done, making sure that the room was clean, whatever it might be, helping clean, you know, Sunday mornings or Saturday morning with my brother around the house, and they had to pay me R1 a week. That was the deal, if
Oh
I
wow.
fulfilled those chores. And
Yeah.
I'd put that into a piggy bank, and it's
Yeah.
from times like that where I started getting the sense of, what it was like both to save and also to build up and different entrepreneurial ways to start to come up with businesses. And that's kind of where um,
That.
the the streak, the desire started coming from.
Yeah.
And so when I just finished varsity, when I was really in the industry and everything, I also had a couple other businesses. I was investing in small businesses on the side in the tech world. I
Oh
also
wow.
had a tech streaming service,
Yeah.
which I was a part of as well. So right now, like long before Buns Out, I'm part of a company called Silicon Maboneng,
Yeah.
and we do app development and tech solutions for companies and individuals, and we also VC and invest in different companies and businesses as well. We're very diverse. I'm in the AI field as well, artificial
Yeah.
intelligence and machine learning, and a few other things. I've also got and I've also, for the last 8 years, been a part of a wine house in Franschhoek in
Yeah.
Cape Town. Trying to
Yeah.
diversify and learn here and there. Got my own kind of private, my private brand there too, where we only sold this to collectors in the Cape. And so
Yeah.
you start to learn all these things that it's all just been a natural progression. But one of the dreams I've always had was to start a restaurant, and
Oh wow.
it was always just like kind of holding me back. Certain things were holding me back. Being told that it's not a good idea by other restaurateurs to do it because it's such this thing that will take over your time completely. It's draining. It's
Yeah.
difficult. There's so many people you have to try and deal with. And I just always said I would do it before I turned 30, since I was about like 12 years old. When we started Buns
Yeah.
Out, the economy was absolutely flat. Food retail wasn't looking good at all.
Yeah.
Everything is pretty much stacked against going into that line of business. And for me, whenever there's that much, that many things going against me doing something, then I'll more than likely do it,
Oh wow.
because we always
Okay.
end up choosing the safe route. And I love the
Yeah.
fact that, you know, if I'm not taking big enough risks, if I'm not taking on my fears in a big way, then I know that the rewards won't be something that will be fulfilling or worth it. And I think
Yeah.
if I'm willing to take enough of a chance, enough of a risk, then it will come with possibly great reward.
Bro, I could have like a full-on conversation just about that with you. So thank you for sharing, and I think your insights like are something that a lot of us can start thinking about. Like
Mm.
our country like literally is a country of two worlds, and it's something to figure out. My last question to
Yeah,
you, and I know a lot of people are sitting at home trying to figure this out, and we've touched quite on a lot of things, both in your journey as a celebrity and also an entrepreneur. And I've learned so much in terms of your journey and the key things that I just want to touch on, that I really, really appreciate that you shared is one, like the whole concept of creating your own path. A lot of people are not brave to do that, especially if you're already in an environment that you could just be comfortable in. So that's the one thing I've learned, the ability to just create your own path and trust in your own why.
mm.
The ability and the balls to leave your own city where you were born, where you know everybody, drive your Alpha across the country and start again. And
Yeah,
when that didn't work out, the ability and the courage to start all over again, you know?
mm.
So I really appreciate that, and it's coming through quite strongly, and just the ability to dare to dream and create things. A lot of people now are sitting at home they're hearing a number of points of how to survive the pandemic or how to get through each day. For me personally,
Yeah.
like I've literally been resetting every day. Like when I wake up in the morning, I have that first 10 minutes, oh shit, this thing's actually happening. But
Mm,
then I
mm,
kind of
mm.
like go into a flow, go, okay, this is my routine. This is how I'm gonna get through this. These are the connections that I'm gonna make. Um, in a minute, 2 minutes, however long it takes you. What are some of the things that you are doing as daily rituals to keep yourself centered? And what would you suggest to people listening in right now, like things that they need to be mindful of as we go through this uncertain time?
Yeah, I think more than anything, I'm trying to put into perspective any fears I might have, you know, all those fears of what's going to happen after this. How do we all look after this? If I think, you know, even from a Buns Out perspective, you would have heard tonight that it's still going to be a while before places like restaurants can reopen, right? So that's going to come with a lot of fear because, unfortunately, and it's the hardest thing, but by the end of this month, we're going to have to start laying off our staff. And then if we go on for another month, we don't even know if we'll be able to reopen our doors, you know? And it's such a difficult thing. So it's putting certain fears into perspective, putting those things down, and then trying to think of great ways to try and counter that. How do you prepare for all those what ifs? You know, what will be your armor for those what ifs? If you're worried about losing your job, why would you be obsolete in your job right now? Why are you the person that they're going to let go of? And what is it that you can possibly be doing right now to you know, try and improve yourself to ensure that you may have a bit of protection from that happening to you. In some cases, of course, it may be inevitable. If that is a worry of yours, what can you possibly think of that you can use your time up with right now to be able to see what the other direction might be? What is something that is needed out there that you can possibly start? But also to also mentally put things into perspective, apart from needing to be innovative now in my businesses, but especially with Buns Out, because, you know, it's going to be a while before restaurants can operate normally. Also allowing yourself to, you know, if you have to reset every day and wonder, you know, is this really happening? I've had those days, and then some of those days sadly just come with no motivation whatsoever. And you're just like, you know what? Today, nothing's working out. Like, I can't, it literally is like that, where you can't even finish a sentence because, exactly. And then you just, the time flies by and you realize that you've hardly done anything, but because you lack that motivation, you were going through all your kind of mental kind of flow downs and episodes, or whatever it might be. But you need to allow yourself that too, because it's all part of that process. You need to allow yourself to be able to rationalize those moments so that you can sit in them and allow them to happen, so that you can be ready on the other side each time you're feeling good, and that you can make the most of that. But I think, you know, as this has become more and more of a habit over time now, I mean, we're on day 28, I think. We're finally now at a point, day 900. I know, I can see that look on your face. We're finally at a point where it's starting to get kind of like more and more normal. We're getting used to it. And now we can kind of start creating a system. So what I try and do is create a bit of a schedule of the things I'm trying to do for that day, but scheduling, you know, some mundane things of like when I'm going to make food, when I'm going to try and do a little bit of exercise, you know, as well as maybe even scheduling a live, whatever it might be, but things where you can have some sort of, you know, consistency. But I think that the best thing is to always just try and keep learning and keep improving if you have the capacity to be able to do that each day.
Bro, I must thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think today in our live, I learned a new term. Apparently, we don't look alike; we look together.
We look once.
So I've learned that, bro. And but on a serious note, though, like I really appreciate. I think the one thing that I mentioned we were talking about earlier on, from the moment that we've met and our interactions, I've always just appreciated your honest energy and just the positive energy that you bring to everything. I think a lot of people, especially in this industry that we work in, struggle to be real people. And for me, it's testament for the fact that this is the longest conversation that we ever had. It's our first one, but it felt like I was talking to a friend that I've had for a very long time. So I appreciate that very much.
Absolutely, man.
And I'm very excited to see what you're going to be doing with Buns Out post this. I do believe that it is going to survive. I do believe that you're going to find a way to pivot, especially with all of your skills that you have and the fact that you're entrenched in the world of tech. You're going to be fine, man. You're going to be selling us virtual burgers. So I appreciate that very much.
No, thank you, man. I think I'm really excited. There's a couple possible solutions that I've thought of, and we'll just see if the market is ready for it when the time comes. But for now, we'll just have to wait and see. But no, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you for having these conversations. You've been doing this for a while now, and it's important that we have these conversations. It's really necessary that people don't think that the path is easy and it's just, linear, and that there's no kind of work that needs to go into it. And it's nice to be able to share that story. And, just to kind of share one more thing with everyone is that whatever it is that you're doing, when you're back out there in the world, when we can do everything that we're doing, or even while you're at home right now, if you're running a business, if you have certain dreams to do certain things, if you want to get to a certain place in life, of all the things that you can be in your life, if there's one thing that can really beautifully drive you, is the drive to be a blessing to other people.
Appreciate it so much, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Stay blessed and stay safe, brother.
You too, man. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.